everything in creation is based on agreement. Overall agreement to an idea makes it the overall experience for those agreeing with it. Back in these early times then, at what must have been the golden epoch, where free will was afforded, the free will assumed when body types of a particular consciousness state becomes so, the position of gods was agreed to. Agreement then to all-powerful deity-type individuals that lord over creation and are responsible for all that seems to occur. It isn't that the gods, the individuals who reside as the ambitious controllers of the creational life levels were created, but more the position of being a controller over the life levels was made available through agreement, and all it takes then is for an ambitious controller type to assume such a position, and very ambitious then was the Callum god. He would take his place as the self-proclaimed god up to the mental world levels. He is the Lord God of all the followers of the belief systems on earth, and up to the mental worlds. His identity will differ from faith to faith, from religion to religion, but they are all still him. He is the three-headed God, with the deceptive faces of benevolence, fear, and influence. As with any individual of a controlling persuasion, their position of control is dependent upon agreement, and so it's very apparent that everything of the levels below the Callum, below the mental levels, must be geared to glean agreement for the maintenance of the Callum's position. This position then is maintained through the various systems on the earth, using earth as the example. Everything from politics, science, spirituality, and chiefly amongst these will be religion. Religion being the most apparent as a support structure for the maintenance of a god, for every religion will worship gods, will have some ancient book or other that is presented as evidence, and an entire philosophy and way of being will be presented with each religion that stems back to effectively agreement to the Callum god and the maintenance of his position. For yes, every religion is worshipping and agreeing with the same individual's position, that of the three-headed reptilian god Callum, and all those who are Satanists, those that worship instead what they consider is the polar opposite to God, that of a fallen angel-type character, are also worshipping Callum. For God and the devil are in fact the same individual, and he has cunningly garnered agreement for his position through every system in operation beneath his mental world's level. These reptilian life-level gods, including the Kalorm, are responsible for the maintenance of the dualistic principles of creation. They oversee the dualistic powers of good and bad. It is their function to make sure all individuals remain unaware of the real universes of real freedom, and they certainly will never promote the real connection. The sound-light reality of the all is. Creation is quite the snare, particularly with its dualistic aspect. Agreement with any idea that has us fall on one side of the fence or the other, standing for good or evil, will keep us in creation, regardless of how noble we think we may be, as we battle the dark forces, or we work on their behalf. Cause and effect will still apply. The experiential consequence will be further future lifetimes, in accordance with agreeing with the dualistic ideas of creation, the Kalorm God, and the forces that represent him and prop him up will play both sides consequently. In order for the Kalorm to maintain his position, he must have agreement, and must ensure those agreeing with him remain in the creational simulator, and so he cares not what ideas people agree with. He cares not if people fight for justice and righteousness, or if they promote control and derision. They will all be staying in the simulator, and they will all be agreeing with his position, because all systems of the earth are tantamount to agreement that keeps the Kalorm in his chair. From the blatantly obvious religious support networks to politics, science, etc., all are systems devised by the reptilians. All are systems, therefore, of control, and all control of the unconscious masses of the simulator slaves lead to the Kalorm's door. For yes, the control system is a little like a reptilian pyramid scheme. All the various tiers of control that stem from that which we see, the politicians, etc., to that which we don't, those pulling the strings, and then we go off planet to the reptilians, operating on the physical and astral levels, to the reptilian gods of the life levels, to the Kalorm, who sits on the mental level's throne. The incentive for all the various individuals at the various levels of control will be, of course, the power they have over the tiers below them, and all will have power over the mass of slaves that prop up their positions, their reptilian pyramid with their agreement. Of course, controllers never have enough power, and you can expect that they will always be seeking to claim greater personal positions, all very eager to stab each other in the back for gains up the pyramid. Every individual assumed their controller position by seizing it from another. The royalty and bloodline elites of the earth didn't earn their land and wealth, they simply stole it, either from the agreeing, acquiescing slaves, or from another controlling elite. The Calorm is also a conqueror. He would have assumed his position in much the same way. Perhaps other self-proclaimed gods preceded him, and he always must fight and keep others from claiming his spot. But he rather likes the confrontation and the battles, so seems he is quite content in the ever-experience of potential battle and defence of his position that he must have as his chosen life. And religious origins actually stem from the lesser reptilian physical astral minions that work at the Calorm's behest, as when they initially found the planet Earth, they would find a species of intelligent monkey, a little genetic tinkering, combining their DNA with the monkeys, and they would secure a race of slave workers that became the humans. To maintain their control of the humans, especially when they would depart from the planet, at least beyond immediate sight, they would set up the initial religions to perpetuate worship of their species, very easy to impress upon the early humans with their technologies, how it would instill the notion that these reptilians must be gods. And so the foundation of control was set, religions established, the reptilians considered to be gods, and these early events soon would fade from living memory, and conveniently be omitted from any books or histories, for yes, the reptilians would maintain a presence on the planet through their elite hybrid and placed bloodlines, ensuring this knowledge never be known. And of course, all religions established ultimately lead to the door of that which the reptilian invaders and human re-engineers ultimately answer to, the top of the control pyramid, agreement then to the Calorm god and his position. And so we can see now what life in the creational matrix is all about, its purpose, function, and mechanics. The real universes of the is beyond, and the realization that yes, there are indeed gods, but these gods are not what we think they are. They are just very adept conquerors. Creation is certainly very complex, matrix. It is designed for the recognition of the is, but with free will it also will always harbour the villains, the controllers and conquerors. And yes, the controllers will do their best to keep us all in the matrix, to maintain their control, but we must always remember how we are the decider of everything in our lives. Our every experience is by our creational design, and at any time we decide, we can choose something different. And when an opportunity, like the one being presented now by Dwayne Hepner through the new presentation, backed by the real universal guides as emissaries of the ears, comes our way, we would be very short-sighted indeed to pass up this golden, once-in-a-million lifetimes opportunity. For created consciousness must be of a particular, that agreement is ventured, that facilitates a new presentation being present in our experience, and this generally tends to be a very small window, for agreement can just as easily be withdrawn. The controllers can bring in more methods of awareness restriction, more distractions, more subliminal programming. That agreement to the opportunity of the is can swiftly vanish, and a new presentation cannot be in creation any longer. We must remember that creation served a function, and experiences can be varied and endless in their possibility. But as varied as the experiences can be, it is all very limited. We are subject and bound by cause and effect, and always controller types will feature and further restrict experience into an agreed design of their making. There is no freedom here, only implied freedom. We all are slaves, and in agreement to a system of slavery that limits even further experience that is possible, a suppression of awareness that is reflected in the overall experience, a deteriorating world with the very creational simulator in jeopardy. For if awareness is increasingly restricted, this is reflected in the experience of the very simulator. Cause and effect will ultimately, if continuing along these lines, culminate in an implosion of the simulator. So now is surely the time to depart from it, to grasp the opportunity provided by the real guides, to supersede a limited, creational, personal, self-immersed experience of control and restriction, and assume and recognize a position as a real being of light with the is, which we all are now. We must just make the choice, the decision to do so. We are forever the decider of everything in our experience, and we can all, if we so choose, get out of the simulator altogether and stand with the real guides and the true reality of the all is.